Okay, I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. We're obviously very excited to name our 10th head coach for the Blue Golds, Matt Siverling. And I'll have Matt speak in a few minutes. I do want to throw out a couple thank yous before we begin. Assistant coach Keith Muckow. Keith, are you out there? I want to thank Keith. He's been keeping the boat afloat here during the interim period. But Keith, thank you very much. I also want to thank the search committee. They had a daunting task, and I think they did an excellent job, certainly recommending a number of people for me to look at the end of the day. And I want to also thank Nancy Hendricks, who's behind the scenes, does a lot of paperwork. The NCAA has nothing on the UW system when it comes to paperwork, so Nancy, thank you for everything there. We had 4 very, very good finalists, and the committee had to deliberate for a long time, but at the end of the day, I'm proud to say we've got our guy in Matt Siverling. We're very, very excited. The other person I want to thank is the UW Superior Athletic Director, Steve Nelson. He and I had a lot of conversations when we were seriously looking at Matt, and obviously Nellie's in a position now to look for a coach, but he was very gracious, professional, as we talked about choosing Matt as our next coach. So I just want to give a thank you to him as well, very classy athletics director. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our new head men's basketball coach, Matt Siverling. All yours.
Thank you, Scott. First of all, I just want to say a couple thank yous. First of all, I want to thank God. He's blessed me and my family, and with so many things, and without Him, none of this would be possible. I want to thank my wife, Lori, my wonderful family, Addison, Braylon, and our new baby girl that's on the way. Being a coach's family is not easy. A lot of sacrifices have to be made, and they've made a lot of sacrifices. We've had to move away from home to make this dream a reality, and I really appreciate their support in all of this. I want to thank everyone else that's here today. I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and I really appreciate you guys coming. I see my sister Carrie's here. Appreciate her taking the time to come. My Uncle Pat and Aunt Shar are here, and the rest of you guys, I appreciate you coming out as well and supporting me in this very exciting day. I want to thank the people that have reached out to me since I was named the head basketball coach here, through email, through text messages, through phone calls. It's been a very, very busy couple of days. Really had a lot of people reach out, and has been very, very excited about the fact that we're here and very supportive and eager to support this basketball program. I just want to thank those people as well. I want to thank Scott Kilgallen, Tim Peterman, Beth Helwig, and the rest of the Search and Screen Committee, and everybody else that was involved in the interview process. I know it was a very, very difficult decision for them to make. Like Scott said, there was a lot of great candidates, but I really appreciate them having the confidence in me to lead the Eau Claire men's basketball program. I want to thank Steve Nelson, the athletic director at UW Superior, not only for giving me the opportunity to coach at UW Superior, but also for his support throughout this whole process. I've never been in that position as an AD to have to sit there and wait for a decision to be made on your head coach. And I know it was a very, very difficult process for him, but he was extremely supportive, and it made my life a lot easier to have the support from him. So I appreciate him for that. I want to thank the entire athletic department at UW Superior. They made my 2 years at Superior very, very enjoyable, and we're really going to miss that group of people that I had the opportunity to work with. I want to thank the players at UW Superior that I had the opportunity to coach. As a coach, you always stress the importance of commitment, and to stand in front of those guys and tell them that I was no longer going to be their basketball coach was one of the most difficult things that I ever had to do. I truly appreciate everything that those guys did for me while I was up there, and I wish nothing but the best for those guys. With that said, I'm very excited about the challenge that lies ahead here with the Eau Claire men's basketball program. We have a university that's nationally recognized for its academics. We have a great community with a passionate fan base that's eager to support this men's basketball program. We compete in the WIAC, which is the toughest Division III conference in the nation. All those things combined, along with a lot of other things, make Blue Gold basketball have a tremendous potential for success. I'm going to work extremely hard to make sure that we reach that potential. I promise you that I will do everything I can to help the student athletes that play for Blue Gold basketball have a positive experience, and to do everything I can to make sure this basketball program has success. With that said, I just want to open it up to questions.
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit when we talked on the phone last week, but you officially don't start your duties until August. But between now and then, what are some of the biggest priorities for you as the new coach here?
Well, unofficially, I started the day that I was told that I had the basketball job. I've already had a chance to reach out to all the players that will be returning next year to make sure those guys are still on board and committed to this basketball program. I had an opportunity to reach out to the incoming recruits that have already decided they want to play basketball and attend school here at the university. And I've already reached out to a lot of the recruits that I had touched base with while at Superior to try to get ready for the next recruiting class, because we all know recruiting is the most important thing that we do, and we need to continue to bring players here that are going to help us be successful. In terms of some other things that need to be done this summer, we need to get to work on some basketball camps. Those things are still going to happen this summer. Keith has done a tremendous job keeping the boat afloat, so to speak, and keeping those camps ready to go, and I'll be around as well this summer to try to keep those things going. Then obviously we need to get the family ready to roll, get them moved down here, get settled, and get ready to get started officially in August.
What about in terms of the staff? Have you made any decisions yet on who you'd like to bring on board as assistants?
You know, Keith Muckow, who's been here for a long time, has done a tremendous job. He's going to remain on staff with us, and I'm very excited about getting a chance to work with him again. As far as everything else goes, I haven't had a chance to really think about what we're going to put together for staff. I know I got some ideas in mind, but that stuff will come as time goes on.
What was your message to those players when you reached out to the returning Blue Gold players? What were you trying to tell them?
You know, my first message was that I was excited about being the basketball coach. Even though those are not guys that I recruited, they're still my guys. The minute I became the basketball coach here is the minute those guys became my players. I want to do what's best for those guys. A lot of those guys, I think we got 6 seniors. They'll be seniors next year. It's their last year to have a great experience here at UW. Not to say they didn't have a great experience before, but it's their last year. I want to make that experience the best experience I can as their basketball coach. And those other guys, I want to make sure they were still committed. I want to make sure that they were ready to go. I want to make sure that they were ready to put the time and effort needed this summer to get us ready to go next year, because we're moving forward. I'm the new basketball coach, and we are getting focused on what we got to get done next year.
Obviously, coming in later, does that hurt recruiting at all, or are you still pretty confident with what you'll have coming in next year?
You know, I'm very confident in what we got coming in. I know Keith has done a phenomenal job recruiting, and the other coaching staff has brought some guys in that I think will help us in the future. Some of those guys were guys I recruited while I was at Superior, so I'm familiar with them. I'm familiar with their families, and I'm familiar with what they can do. And although they chose to come here instead of Superior, I'm happy about that now, that they're coming here. So I'm really excited about those guys, and I think we got a good bunch of people coming back, and the recruiting process isn't over. I mean, there's still, I think, some time that we might be able to get some new people in as well.
When you have that first practice, what's the first thing you're going to stress to these players to bring that success here?
You know, I think just going out every single day and working as hard as they can. There's no substitute for hard work, and I'm sure there'll be a period of time where they need to adjust to my coaching style. Division III level, we can't work with our guys until the first day of practice. So that first week is going to be a chance for me to get to know them, a chance for them to get to know me, and you know, just continue to work hard and get better.
Do you have a program set up for them during the off season? I mean, obviously, as you said, you can't be on the floor with them, but do you have something you recommend that they follow over the off season?
Yeah, and again, I give credit to Keith and the other coaching staff. They've had all that stuff prepared for them. I know those guys have gotten something to take home over the summer. Whether they do it or not, that's kind of up to those guys, but I think we got a group of guys that are hungry for success, and that's one of the things I stress to them. If you want to have success at the college level, you got to put the work in, and it's not just during the season. It's a lot of that intrinsic motivation that they have to have, because again, we can't work with them outside of the basketball season, so it's really up to them to put forth that effort.
Knowing what you know about the returning players and about the rest of the WIAC, what would your expectations be for next year?
That's a great question. I expect it to be really, really difficult and really challenging. I don't care who you're coaching in the WIC. This is the best conference, and every single night it's a battle. And any team can compete with any team in this league. We're just hoping to go out and do the best that we can and try to, again, make this experience for these seniors a great experience so they can go out with a great taste in their mouth and get those other guys, those new guys, acclimated to what it's going to take to compete in this league.
You know what it's like when the Zorns rock and they're being an assistant. How much do you want to get that place back and packed and getting excited?
More than anything, I think it's exciting for our players, it's exciting for our coaching staff to be able to walk out on the floor before a game and to see that place packed and ready to root on a basketball team that's going to go out and play as hard as they can. And that's something that we're hoping will happen sooner than later. We really want people to come out and support us, and we're going to do what we can to go out there and put out a great product and do what we can to compete.
You mentioned a couple weeks ago during your interview that you kind of like to push the tempo a little bit, maybe some pick and roll stuff. You still expecting that'll be kind of what fans can see from the Blue Girls this year?
It's what we're hoping for. We're going to put our players in a situation where they can be successful. It's going to take some time to figure out what that is. I'm going to go back and watch a lot of film on what they've done in the past, just to kind of see some of the strengths and weaknesses. Hopefully there are no weaknesses, but strengths and weaknesses of our players. And then we're going to try to tailor our system to help those guys be successful. Sometimes it doesn't do any good to come in and try to push something down their throat that they're not capable of doing. That's just a recipe for disaster. So we're going to try to figure out what their strengths are and try to incorporate some of the things that we do to help those guys be successful.
And you had a taste of D1 like your predecessor, and I'm not drawing comparisons, but what made you gravitate back towards D3, and what do you like about D3?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the type of players, the type of guys that I get to coach every single day. These guys are there. They're not on scholarship. They're not getting any financial value out of playing basketball. They're there because they love the game of basketball. And that's the reason I got into coaching, is to be in a position where I can help student athletes be successful. And that was probably the biggest draw to coach at this level. And I did have a taste of the Division III level as well. And that's something I knew I wanted to get back to.
On a personal note, how big of a day is this for you and your family?
Oh, this is huge. This is huge. We got into Eau Claire last night, and we've been driving around, and my wife said, this is just a great feeling just to be back somewhere that you're really, really comfortable with. And we've already met with some people and some friends and got a chance to renew some old friendships. And it's hard to explain the feeling that we have right now being back in the city and being back on campus and seeing all the wonderful things that are going on here and just really looking forward to getting started.
Matt, how would you kind of describe your coaching style? You've worked under some guys who are pretty excitable on the sidelines. You seem a little more composed than, I don't want to name any names, but say Coach Hammond.
Thanks, Joey.
Coach, I may have to get a blue towel out and put it on my shoulder to carry it around. I do see Coach Hammond here, and I appreciate him coming out. I got a chance to work with him while I was going to school here and learned a lot from him. Coach Gibbons, I see, is here as well, and got an opportunity to work for him here at Eau Claire and learned a lot from him as well. I really try to stay composed on the sideline. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I tend to act out every once in a while. I think if you look at one of the pictures in the paper, I was screaming at the top of my lungs. But I think if as a coach, if you can stay composed, I think that really rubs off on your players. And one thing I don't want them to do is to get too excited when they're playing, because there are going to be times in the game where things aren't going to go your way. and you want to make sure that you stay even keeled. There's going to be times when things are going great. You want to make sure you're even keeled, and I take pride in the fact that I'm able to do that during those situations, and I think the players appreciate that because they can stay focused on what needs to be done without getting too excited either way.
Have you dreamed of a day like this where you'd be taking over this program, and if so, how does the dream compare to the reality now that it's actually happened for you?
When we left here to go to Arkansas, it was a really, really difficult decision because we loved it here. And we had my wife and I had a lot of conversations about where we wanted to be in the next 5 or 10 years, and we wanted to come back. And we knew in order for that to happen, we needed to move away, get more experience, and get a chance to see more things. And I never dreamed it would happen this quickly, but I am very excited about it. I think the reality is a lot better than the dream.
Well, Scott, on your part, what were the main things that impressed you?
Well, Matt talked a little bit about it. I almost had another search here when he told me he gets way excited on the sidelines here. But in all seriousness, he's had some great mentoring from Coach Gibbons and everybody else along the way, Coach Donovan and out at Arkansas, and he's done some nice things, and maybe we've had the luxury of seeing him at Zone Arena, and I think one of the things that I appreciated watching his demeanor on the sidelines, they had a tough game against Eau Claire, and yet he was very, very composed, the way he handled his guys, those type of things. I think certainly he understands what recruiting's all about. Coach had mentioned that earlier. That really is the lifeblood of your program. You have to recruit hard. He understands how to get that done, and he understands his conference. So those are really, really big as we looked at him. And, I said this earlier when we talked about this search about 6-7 weeks ago. You're looking for somebody with integrity, somebody who's going to be a great role model for the student athletes, make sure they're successful in all venues, and Matt really has that package for us, so I'm really pleased to have him on board, no question.
Matt, nobody in this room will hold you to a 20-year commitment, but talk about your commitment to this program in terms of some length.
Well, like I said before, when we left, our dream was to come back here, and that dream has become a reality. And we have we can't predict the future, but we are here to stay for a long, long time if things work out and we're able to do that. We want to settle down, we want to raise our family, and what better place to be than here in Eau Claire working for UW Eau Claire and coaching the Eau Claire Blue Gold.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and Coach, we have some things for you here. We're excited to get you started anyways and trade the colors.
I feel like I'm a draft pick.
Really make it official.
Fits too.
Mr. Hero.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all right.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, guys.